business is fundamentally going to change. Humanity is definitely going to change. How can you be part of that with your passion around growing and scaling businesses, but also really getting people to understand that this is the most innovative moment in history?
Welcome to How-I-AI, the podcast featuring real people, real stories, and real AI in action. Hi, I'm Brooke Gramer, your host and guide on this journey of the real-world impact of artificial intelligence. For over 15 years, I've worked in creative marketing, events, and business strategy, wearing all the hats. I know the struggle of trying to scale and manage all things without burning out. But here's the game changer, AI. This isn't just a podcast. How-I-AI is a community, a space where curious minds like you come together, share ideas, and I'll also bring you exclusive discounts and insider resources because AI isn't just a trend, it's a shift. And the sooner we embrace it, the more freedom, creativity, and opportunities we'll unlock. Have you just started exploring AI and feel a bit overwhelmed? Don't worry, I've got you. Jump on a quick start audit call with me so you can walk away with a clear and personalized plan to move forward with more confidence and ease. Join my community of AI adopters like yourself. Plus, grab my free resources, including the AI Get Started guide, or try my How-I-AI Companion GPT. It pulls insights from my guest interviews along with global reports so you can stay ahead of the curve. Follow the link in the description below to get started. My conversation with Seema today is going to shift the way you think about AI, leadership, and business growth. She's the co-chair of DC Startup and Tech Week and the co-founder of Virgent AI, where she's helping companies adopt AI with clarity and intention. This episode isn't just about tools or tech. It's about how to create an intentional roadmap for adopting AI in a way that actually solves your biggest business challenges. Seema breaks down how companies can future-proof themselves in this AI revolution. She shares frameworks that cut through the noise and gives real examples of how AI is unlocking creativity, saving time, and transforming industries like healthcare. If you've been wondering how to move from dabbling in AI to building intelligent systems inside your business, this is the conversation for you. All right, let's dive in. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of How-I-AI. Today, I have a very special guest, Seema Alexander. The stars truly aligned for us to be together today here in Miami. She's in town visiting from DC, and she's the president and co-founder of Virgent AI. I'm going to let her take it away and introduce herself.
Awesome. Brooke, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I can't tell you how excited I am.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah. I'll give a little bit of background. I'm not going to go too deep because I think it's all going to come out in your questions, but I play a couple hats. So Virgin AI is a company that helps accelerate AI adoption safely, intentionally, responsibly in companies and industry. And so we started actually not this year, but last January. And we'll get into some of that story, I think, as we go along. But it's been, I think we all know it's one of the biggest opportunities of a lifetime where we are with AI and the biggest technological revolution that we've ever seen. And for business, I have a major passion around helping grow and scale businesses and where the power of this technology is going. I mean, this is bigger than the advent of the internet. And there was a couple of milestones in terms of my career that gave me that insight. And so I almost have like a sense of responsibility to not only sound the alarm of what's happening, but also help people really understand the roadmaps, the governance around it, how you actually develop and build custom things around it, just from automation and innovation. The other hat I play is I'm the co-chair of DC Startup and Tech Week, which is the largest entrepreneurial conference and community. Think of like Silicon Valley and Austin and all the ones they have those tech weeks. Yeah. We do ours in October. So it's like 5 to 6 days. It's our 10th year. And what's really cool about, thank you. What's cool about that is I get to start to see a lot of emerging companies that are leveraging AI. And so there's this whole world of AI first. Yes. And then there's another world of let's really start to think about strategically how to integrate this into product, into our functional areas, into innovation. And then there's a lot of people who are not paying attention, Brooke. So I'm really glad to be here and continue to spread the word.
That's my mission, is to really spread the word, get people interested and motivated. So let's back it up a little bit of when you first started getting into AI. When was that first initial spark when you were wanting to start to dive all in and learn?
Wow. Okay. So in my career, I've played a couple different roles. I started my career in corporate America, 13 years at Prudential Financial. One of the biggest things there is I was able to reposition the company, working with all the CMOs and the CEO. And I learned that all companies evolve. Who you are when you first start is never where you end up. So I took that practice and I started my own advisory company called Disruptive CEO Advisory. And I worked with over 1,000 founders, create a proprietary method called the Unique Method to help kind of work through those intentional strategic decisions. And as they did that, and your background is in branding and growth, as you know, so that intentionality really helped bring the world of brand and marketing and partnerships together. So they became much more intentional and hockey sticked in terms of their growth. Within the advisory practice, I did a lot of work in emerging technology. And you can say from smart cities to disruptive insurance products to Web3, multiple different areas in that. And I would tell you about 3 years ago, I was asked to advise a company called Magic ML. And one of the co-founders, his name is Jesse Alton, who now is my partner and the CEO of Virgent. He brought me in as soon as he was getting involved in a deeper way. And it is an artificial intelligence development environment that specialized in this concept of AI agents. And this was before that, no one had even heard of what AI agent was. It was so new in a sense where I was hanging out and getting schooled, I would tell you, by a couple AI accelerationists, is what I call them. They were developers. They just had a vision that was scary, but also very intriguing. And when I say scary, it's more of like where machines are going to go. It was almost, I saw it then, and I was like, okay, the world is changing, right? Yes. Then as they started to get into the power of an agent and what that looked like. And there was actually a beta where there was this high-end cinematographer. I'll just give you an example. This might be helpful. He had done a ton of movies and all that. And I was like, why are you in this beta? What are you looking to achieve? He said, Seema, I want to take my script, my storyboard, and bring it to life in minutes. He's like, it normally takes me months.
Wow.
And I was like, well, how are you going to do that? He's like, well, if your system works, he was like, I want to take my script, put it into ChatGPT, segment it out, put it into Midjourney, which is a text to image prompt at that, still is. Take that, refine it, fine tune it, and then put it into Runway ML and create video from it. And it's just a way to help accelerate the process. And it was that moment, and it's much more than that, right? We know AI, ML, they have skill sets and other things, but it was like, wow, what did you, like, it was like, that's what this power it was doing. And this was before we all knew about the power of AI and sort of this next generation of AI and ML, because the AI and ML have been around 75 years, right? New concept, but the accessibility after large language models and generative AI at the end of 2022 changed everything. So that was my first iteration of, wow, this is bigger than the advent of the internet.
Yes.
Seema, understand that business is fundamentally going to change. Humanity is definitely going to change. How can you be part of that with your passion around growing and scaling businesses, but also really getting people to understand that this is the most innovative moment in history?
What an interesting use case to catapult you into the space of AI. It sounds like you've been in it for quite a while now, and I'd love to hear more about how you build agents. But my favorite question to ask everyone, since it's so unique, is what is your current technology stack?
So funny. I did see that on your list. Sometimes I just play so much.
Yes.
And that's the craziness and the beauty of this space. So I'll share, obviously with ChatGPT, right? ChatGPT Pro, create projects, and ChatGPT, the back end of different wrappers, if you will, for different opportunities and roles. I use it's interesting because I'm not a developer, but I'm playing with things like Cursor and Replit and Lovable, which basically you can prompt these tools and it will create the code for you to create websites, to create landing pages, to create whatever. The world of coding is changing drastically. I'm wearing something here.
I saw that.
It's called Applaud.
Okay.
And I mean, I do a lot of talks and I really want to become like I want to continue to build my own knowledge base within AI, right?
Yes.
And so Applaud is something that helps you record. It also can facilitate the ability to put all my podcast recordings or anything I'm speaking or whatever all together, and it'll become your micro language model. And so that has been something that it's just exciting about, because I feel like how many talks do I do that I just miss the actual content or the gold that comes out of it, so I can repurpose. We're in the world of repurposing when it comes to content.
Yes.
So from Perplexity is one of my favorites. Are you familiar with Perplexity?
I like Perplexity too.
So it's another language model, but it's very good with research. And it actually showcases where it gets the information from, probably better than most of the others.
Yes.
I use Gemini sometimes. These are all the LLMs, I feel like it's funny because I feel like ChatGPT, even for images recently, I don't know if you've noticed after their new release, like you can create marketing slicks. You can create, actually, you and I are going to be on panels after this, right? I created slides through some of it. And I was like, wow, this would have taken me hundreds of dollars to get. At least even the explanation to a graphic designer. I could probably keep going because I literally will use, when I can find a tool to solve a problem, I want to play with it because we're also out in the market trying to figure things out for people. So that's kind of our current stack, if that makes sense.
Okay, awesome. I do like Perplexity, and I recommend it to a lot of people that are maybe hesitant to use AI at first. They're like, oh, it's just pulling information from the internet, Reddit comments. How is it fact checked? And that's where I usually guide them to Perplexity. I want to touch on, you said you use ChatGPT Pro.
Yes.
I would love to hear your experience using Pro. What have you done with it? What do you do?
Honestly, it's the projects right now. I just feel like I'm involved in a lot of things. So for me, it's becoming a little bit of my base. We're creating custom agents with Virgent. That to me is like, we have some proprietary things that we are building to solve our own problems internally, right? And so with ChatGPT, it's like when you first start with something, it becomes easy.
Yes.
And you just build off of it and you're like, okay. And obviously I've learned not to feed any of my information onto the model and more security around that stuff. But I just like continuity, right? So if I mentioned like right now, if I have all this information specifically on my podcast and I'm like, I need the templates for LinkedIn and X and all the things, or I need this, it's become my house, right now, until and when we're building or almost done building our own proprietary models. So it's kind of how I use it right now.
I agree. Now that ChatGPT remembers everything, why would you leave when it has so much data on you as a person and professionally?
It is freaky though. I didn't share, but I always share, like I've had some medical scares in my life. I've had 2 pulmonary embolisms and I have Sjogren's, which is an autoimmune.
Wow.
So one of my folders is like just health, and I'm good, but I'm a blood thinner. I'm good, right? But it's like, it actually changed my perspective on the way I look at life, right?
Wow.
I remember being like, I don't know, I felt like I was like having dry eyes or something. And chat, which most people are naming their chat GPTs now.
I haven't done that yet.
I haven't done it yet. Some people are calling it their bestie and all the things. But they're like, but you have Sjogren's, don't you remember? That's probably, and I'm like, how do you know that? And I forgot I fed that. I fed that to them. I fed it to them. So it's interesting because you almost forget that this model is really learning you.
Yeah, something to be mindful of for sure.
Correct.
The other thing that you touched on was wrappers. So maybe not everyone understands what a wrapper is.
Yeah.
Maybe you can give a use case example of a wrapper you've made before.
Yeah. So in the back end of ChatGPT, there's something called Playground, right? And this is the way I use it is more of like, this is probably a good use case. As an entrepreneur, you are janitor in chief. You are doing everything for the most part until you can hire a team. But what if you can create a role like your chief marketing officer? And you feed in the back end of this wrapper that this is what a CMO is. This is what they do. This is their responsibilities. This is what our company does. These are all our competitors. These are the types of ads they do. This is what inspires us. These are the types of KPIs I want my CMO to have. And you're feeding it data about your company. And now you have a wrapper and a role of like a CMO for your own company. It's personal.
Yes.
And so you can now, that is ingested in the back end for context. And so now you're using that as a reference point when you're making marketing decisions or you're asking questions about marketing or you need a new marketing flyer. That context is already there. And then you're building the knowledge base as you continue to go on. So again, in a way, it's like another version of the projects, right? But it's more permanent, I think, or permanent, quote unquote, whatever that means, but it's more in the base. I'd love to hear is there anything you would add to that?
Adding to wrappers, I haven't necessarily sold my custom GPTs or assistants externally. I haven't had the need to connect it to APIs and position it in that way. Personally, I just use it for my own use and I program projects on ChatGPT as well. That's mainly the tech stack that I use, that and things like Descript for my podcast. Everything has an AI enhanced version added to it, right?
Yes.
Canva now has Magic AI. There's all these really cool features that everybody's adding. So we're all using AI without even really needing to seek it out. It's just being implemented into all the tools and softwares that we already use every day. And I know Copilot is one of the ways that a lot of people organically start to use it without even meaning to. It's just an add-on or it's even free, I think, lately
Through
to get more
Microsoft,
people on. Yeah.
But I think that's the way of the world, Brooke, right? Right now, it's like with Web3 or where when internet was out, it was like DOS, the programming behind it was like such a thing, right?
Yes.
Until it's not.
Yeah.
So right now, AI is such a thing because of the word and it's the hype of it and large language models and generative AI models. But no one cares about that. People care about outcomes. People care about what is this going to do to help me? So I actually have a framework. One thing I forgot to mention, I'm on the Futurist Council for JFF Labs. So Jobs for the Future. It's the Futurist Council for AI and Humanity and work. For me, the future of where we're headed, I have a framework of like what business is going to look like. And so I talk a lot about most businesses are going to have a baseline of intelligence. They're not going to be like, oh, we're AI powered. Right now, everybody's using that either as a marketing language because they have to, or they're getting pressured by boards or CEOs or whatever it may be. Some are doing it smart and intentionally, which is the right way of doing it. But going forward in the next couple of years, all of to your point, these apps, the softwares, they're all going to have intelligence in them.
Yes.
So your tech stack, your marketing, your operations, your just IT tech stack is already going to be intelligent. And that's going to be baseline for businesses. The second part of my framework really talks to data and how data is the new gold. When you have unique proprietary data and large amounts of that type of data, it could be on your customers, it could be on products, it could be vast amounts of reviews that you've categorized and to help support product. That data, because AI and machine learning is able to take that data and create insights, and you could create decisions based off of that. And personalization and precision are sort of the two words that I ground everything on. You can use that and create new business models. So to me, again, it's the businesses are going to be intelligent. Data is the second piece. The third is humans are going to be in the loop until they're not. And
you don't think they will be forever?
No, I think you and I both have an understanding of what an AI agent is.
Yes.
And AI agents basically are intelligent virtual agents that take over tasks, right?
Yes.
And right now there are a lot of narrow agents. There's customer service bots. There's different sort of individual analysis. You could do some forecasting. Eventually they're going to be ecosystems of agents working autonomously for you in terms of behalf of you. So what does that mean? Okay, Seema, I need a LinkedIn profile completely written, optimized, and put onto LinkedIn, like all of that. Within that, there's 4 or 5 different tasks that need to happen, right?
Yes.
Who you are as a person and understanding that, writing the content, looking at all the various pieces within LinkedIn, making sure you're positioned in the right way depending on your career, then actually creating the profile and the images and all the banners and the design side. That's a designer. Then you have actually putting it and installing it on LinkedIn. Those are 5 to 7 different tasks. We are going to be able to verbally tell AI to do it for us. And that's when right now, humans are going to be in the loop for a while. I think it's like more of an adoption thing. I consider all the AIs people's superpower, right? Like it's like there's so much that you're doing that is repetitive. Almost a lot of the things that people are like, I hate my job because I have to keep doing that, you know? A lot of that's going to be taken away from you in a good way. So it opens up human agency. And all of a sudden you're like, I have more time to be creative. I have more
Yes.
time to build relationships. I have more time to be strategic or whatever it may be. Obviously, that's going to take time and people have to get used to this new world of what that all looks like. But eventually there's going to be limitations of where humans are needed, some of this stuff, and where machines are going to kind of take over. But that leaves us to what does the next phase of life look like?
I agree. How I AI is brought to you in partnership with the Collective AI, a space designed to accelerate your learning and AI adoption. I joined the Collective and it's completely catapulted my learning, expanded my network, and showed me what's possible with AI. Whether you're just starting out, seeking community, or want done-for-you solutions, the Collective gives you the resources to grow your business with AI. You touched on one thing I want to jump into, and it's the restructuring of how we need to completely reorganize the way we work. You talked about data being really important, how we're managing our data. I'm curious if you could touch more on this whole restructuring, because it's completely reorganizing the way that our flow is, especially now that we are needing to have human feedback still for a while. But I would love for you to touch more on how you go in and restructure businesses or advise them on adapting and getting the mindset behind AI.
Oh, that's a great question. Look, at the end of the day, one of the biggest things that we focus on is what are your business challenges? What are the things that are just so laborious, so repetitive? And we will go in and do major discoveries if you want. Like in the beginning, it's like for functional areas, right? If they've never really done anything in AI, and most mid-sized companies are like, okay, AI is big, we get it. Now what? One of the biggest things that we actually start with is making sure they have an AI champion. Because if you don't have somebody internally really advocating and educating and supporting that effort, you're going to be in a situation you're doing a lot of discovery work and no one's going to actually implement it because they don't care enough or there's too much going on, right? Education, Brooke, for me, is the number one opportunity and need, both on the CEO and C-suite level, and then over time, the employee level. Once you have a little bit of a roadmap and strategy in place that you can answer the questions for the employees. The difference here is that for CEOs and C-suite, this is not just a technical training. It's just not. This is not, hey, the CTO can handle it all. This is the power of this tool, the power of the various pieces of AI and ML open up innovation in ways that we've never seen in our lifetime. When it comes to like medicine, everything is going to be so focused on precision and my body and what I've experienced with my environments and what I've been exposed to and the types of drugs that actually work for me are very different than what may be for you. And we're going to eventually get to that. And that can work in any industry, right? I was having conversations with the head of data and AI for Stanley Black & Decker, and he's been on my podcast. And when I tell you it's the masterclass of all enterprise AI adoption, they're doing it really right and really well. But he was like, you know what? We scraped think about Stanley Black & Decker is a major portfolio company. They have things like, they're a tooling company, but they have, I don't know how many portfolio companies. That would be speaking out of turn, but it's a multi-billion-dollar company. DeWalt, they have the trailer, tractors, they have all this stuff. Anyway, so they get a lot of product information, real-time feedback online. But for a product manager, somebody who's like, how do I even prioritize the enhancements? I'm not going to look at 7,000 reviews. How do you take that information and actually make insights from it? Look at the patterns, look at the trends. With generative AI, you can do that in a heartbeat now, right? You put the right tooling, the right training around it, right? I say all that to say what they did best is show and tell. And I think those moments, I talk a lot about the aha, oh shit moments. People need to see, are you literally going to tell me now I don't have to do that anymore? And it's not the scary stuff. I'll give you one example. My co-founder, he was at the dentist and he said, I was sitting at the dentist and she's cleaning my teeth. And she's like, so what do you do? And obviously he tells him about Virgin and all this stuff. And she's like, oh, AI. We have an AI. And he was like, okay, tell me about your AI. He's like, it's in our imaging. And so it helps with, once I take your x-rays, it will give us an analysis on, what, I guess, the gaps and the needs and the opportunities. And she's like, I didn't believe in AI. I was like, what the hell is it going to tell me? I've done this for years and years. And she goes, honestly, I can't live without it now. And so I go back to your question around how do you have to restructure mindset, reframe. But the thing is, the difference is people have to understand the technology. They also have to understand the urgency.
Yeah.
Because if you're in business, this is bigger than the advent of the internet. We've been down this path before. There are companies in the past that are going to, sprout up like the Googles and the Amazons and Netflixes did with the internet. And then there are companies who are doing really well like Blockbuster and Kodak and the Yellow Pages and others, Toys R Us, that are going to die at the vine. And so there is this conversation to be had around, listen, here is that moment in time to build your competitive edge. Yes. Over time, this stuff is going to become mainstream. You might have lost out on the opportunity, or you're going to stay stagnant, may not grow. It really is, education is key right now.
I agree. And any resistance I've seen around adapting and restructuring their organization, or even just taking that sacred pause to get up and running on AI and learn these tools, resistance comes from those who aren't trying or haven't seen the benefits of it yet. But as soon as you start and you get into that momentum and you get expanded in that way, it's like, I should have done this months ago or even last year.
Yeah.
So it's exciting when that shift happens.
Yeah.
My next question for you, it's one of my podcast favorites. If you could wave a magic wand, what tools or AI features are not out there yet? It's April 2025. Things are moving very quickly.
Yes.
If you could create something, or if there's something that you want that you haven't seen yet, what would that be?
Well, I think I will create it, but one of, I think, the biggest opportunities in AI is healthcare. And because I've had to be my own patient advocate, and what does that mean? So I had my first pulmonary embolism at 36. So a pulmonary embolism is basically a blood clot that goes from your calf into your lungs. And then a lot of people don't have the symptoms. I did, thankfully. And so they caught it, but I almost died twice in a week. It was crazy.
Wow.
Happened again at 41. And I have an autoimmune. And so through that process, anytime something real happens, there's different doctors with different specialties. And you're kind of trying to piece all the dots together while you're dealing with some real stuff. It's not easy. And so there's all these medical portals out there. Your information is on there, but medical is like legal, where it's like, this is in language I don't even understand. I don't know what this blood report means. I don't really know, like, you took all these tests, but you're saying I have this or that. Help explain it to me.
Yes.
In human terms,
yes.
In layman terms. And so I envision an AI where you can just, you could literally record your doctor while they're talking. You can upload all your medical everything. It's almost at ease where it becomes your medical language model. It will be able to make the appointments for the doctors, bring in the right specialists, connect those guys. And so they know, hey, by the way, this is what happened. You don't have to retake her blood work the 5th time because she just did it last week, right?
Yeah.
Or, hey, Seema, by the way, go get your mammogram. You're turning 50 in a couple of years, those types of things, right? I want there to be, and there will be, more precision and personalization in the healthcare space. It will help everybody. It will help everybody.
That's beautiful. I would love to hear an example of one repetitive task that you've automated using AI.
God. It's funny because I'm like fully autonomous, semi-autonomous.
Okay.
You and I chatted a little bit about our podcast. I mean, I probably have a couple examples, but when you create a podcast, there's so many elements, right? And I have different channels of the way I create content, but it's like creating the templates for all the different socials, creating the templates for the way you post on and optimize on Spotify and YouTube, and it's all different. So once you have the basis of that, you can feed it into a GPT and have that automated as you upload your episode, your video, and your transcript, and it can all now happen by saying, here's the next one, use the same format. It's a mini agent. It's an agent in its own right. I'm working toward that. I'm not fully there, but I think that it's just one of those things that just takes so much time. And once you solve it for yourself, you can actually commercialize some of this stuff because these are real problems that real people are having. We're working with Virgent. We're working on a social media agent. We're working on an email agent. There's multiple other things, but much more in depth and much more advanced than you would see just as like a wrapper. So once they're done, I'm happy to come back and share.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
But it's it's the same thing with social media as a brand. Imagine, right? Like Jesse and I have he's my partner. We have different voices. We have different audiences. He can speak to more of the technical side of things, and he's a visionary in his own right when it comes to agents and agentic workflows and understanding all the models and hugging face to everything on GitHub, which is not my world per se, right? I can speak the speak if I need to. But for me, it's this whole CEO language. It's the business side of things in a deeper way. And so even understanding personalities of different people in your organization, understanding the way I source things are going to be different than that other individual. So when you're creating almost enterprise type agents, things are more custom. They're not just like, hey, this is Copilot and this is what you're going to do. So for me, that will be a big plus because, again, content is everything. You're building a brand, you're building thought leadership. So that's an area that takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, which are great things for AI.
Yes, I agree with the podcasting and the support that AI has helped with me just getting started and jumping in. I think if I can do it, anybody can do it. And one of my favorite things to do is to upload the transcript, obviously, and help it write the show notes, pick out the key moments that I want to do for clips, help me summarize, write intros, outros. It's been such a game changer. I can't imagine what it was like producing a podcast before all these tools.
And it's still so much. You use Descript, I use Opus Clips, but to create a clip, it used to take an individual to find a spot. They have to watch the entire recording, find a spot, literally physically write the script. And then if they're adding B-roll and all this stuff, now these tools just do it. Like 10 minutes, you have 20 scripts. There are 20 different clips. They're not always perfect, but there's editing capabilities, but you're 80% there. I also know there are agents now that can, for audibles, for books. So that's a process. You can now clone your voice and your intonations of your voice and the way you speak. So think about audibles are probably fun to do as an author, just to add a little bit more pizzazz if you're going through it, maybe some more insights. But that process could take somebody a month to talk about their book. But now you could do it in seconds. I wanted to share a fun anecdote if you don't mind.
Of course, please.
So I have a 15-year-old who's sitting over there, comes with me on some of these things, which I love. And I also have an 11-year-old. And last week I was able to go to her career day. Okay. And so this is elementary school, 5th grade. And I had 25 minutes and I was like, Brooke, what am I going to do? Not just talk at them about AI and just sort of this phase we're in, but show. I was like, okay, well, we start talking a little bit about AI and these kids, I asked them, I was like, what are you afraid of? What are you excited about? The afraid of, oh my God, they were so profound. 5th graders, not everyone who spoke up, but most people who spoke up, they were literally the same sort of concerns adults are having, right?
Yes.
And then I was like, okay, how about we have some fun? And I was like, let's go into ChatGPT. You guys give me a story, concept of a story, just a little small construct. And so I think one of them was a pickle and something. Another one was like Kendrick Lamar and Eminem and a farmer. I don't know. It was like funny, So the story comes out. I'm like, all right, now we're going to create an image in ChatGPT about the story. And I was like, I'm going to prompt it. Ready? And then they look at it. And so I prompt it. Then the story comes. And then I was like, now I'm going to take that and I'm going to put into Runway ML. We're going to showcase the video.
Fun.
And we did it in less than 10 minutes of the whole thing in awe. And teachers were like, holy moly and all this stuff. And then the last part of it, which is really fun, is, are you familiar with Sonu?
Sonu or Sora? No, I'm not.
It's not Sora. Sora's different. Sora's the image one. Sonu is a music generator. So I was like, let's create they go to Carter Rock Elementary School. So I was like, let's create a Carter Rock Cubs anthem. And I was like, all right, give me some moments of some memories that you've had this year. Tell me some teachers' names. Tell me some students' names, this and that. And then I was like, what type of style? And they're like, rap or this or whatever. And this type of beat. And again, within seconds, we created the script on ChatGPT and put it into Sonu. And it was like a fun song.
So fun.
They got up and they started dancing. So my whole point is show and tell, right?
And tell.
That will change people's minds. They feel safer in certain aspects when you do that. And it doesn't need to be that serious. And I think things like that are more lighthearted get people to open their mind a little further of like, wow, what are the possibilities? What am I not thinking about? I should learn a little bit more. Yeah.
That was a beautiful segue into what I feel like you already answered. My final question was just one final key takeaway that you would want to give to those that are entering the AI space and very new to it. Anything that you want to share?
Educate. I mean, what's the most beautiful thing is there's a lot of free education. There's a lot of paid courses. I was at AWS, which is Amazon's web service department. They had a learning day last week. beautifully done. Like, and of course that was more a little bit on the developer side, but on the business side. But even those larger companies are providing those types of trainings. Virgent, we're going to be creating CEO and entrepreneurial training, and it's paid. But I think fundamentally so important because the way we're going to talk about it, most people are not. It's not just here, how do you create an agent or how do you do that? For me, it's how are you solving real business problems? How do you identify the highest ROI, highest value, lowest effort AI in these different areas? What's build versus buy? Like, there are all these tools and subscriptions out there. Do you use those? That's solving your problem? Are they safe? Or does it make sense to do something custom? What do you look at when you're thinking about innovation? And here's a Google moment. Do you have that? What does that look like to create something like that in a world where AI is changing day by day? You need to understand where the power is headed and where and when it's headed. The new consumer looks different. So for me, it's like, be as good as you can possibly be in your field and start to focus on what are the problems that you're having on a business side. That's where you need to start first with AI. Start with one. I was saying, Serena's probably going to laugh. She's sitting over there, but I say 0 to 1. Just start with one. Just get to a place of, okay, I got that. You and I chatted on the way here. We were like, I've been playing with this stuff for so long now, but the power of that, you can't do it unless you're trying. And so for me, that education and playing and iterating, being open to the possibilities, being responsible. And we didn't touch on that, but I think it's really important. I do talk a lot about innovation has implications. The one little anecdote I would tell you is during the sort of the app phase, there was a gentleman, if you go to your social media that you normally would go to, and I'd say, okay, just go to it, say it's Instagram, and start scrolling. Start doing what you normally do. And most people are like scrolling. And the gentleman who created that feature, he was like, I wish I knew that feature now caused so much depression and anxiety because it's called doom scrolling, right? It's just, and loneliness and all that stuff. And he's like, I would have never created it. And so when you're thinking about creating in the space, just be mindful and be responsible. Think about what could this actually do? Is this going to create a positive impact on humanity? And at the same time, is it creating any bias or any ethical issues or anything? Because just like the internet, this is the moment in time that we have to reshape this industry.
Yes.
Because or else we're going to fall right back into the traps that we've done time over time with emerging tech cycles.
That's beautiful. I think that goes a lot with what I like to say is to not chase virality, not just chase methods of being louder in this space, and to really resonate with the product and the offering and what it is that you're in service of to the customer and clients at the end of the day. I can't thank you enough for joining today. We touched on so much that I'm going to have a lot of homework, all the tools to tag in this episode. There was quite a bit that you shared. You're such an amazing resource, and we barely tapped into the questions I had for you today. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. It was just very insightful for me, and I'm sure for the listeners as well.
Well, thank you for having me. This was such an organic and fun conversation. I'm really excited about your podcast and the reach it's going to have. So thank you and congratulations.
Wow. I hope today's episode opened your mind to what's possible with AI. Do you have a cool use case on how you're using AI and want to share it? DM me. I'd love to hear more and feature you on my next podcast. Until next time, here's to working smarter, not harder. See you on the next episode of How I AI. This episode was made possible in partnership with the Collective AI, a community designed to help entrepreneurs, creators, and professionals seamlessly integrate AI into their workflows. One of the biggest game changers in my own AI journey was joining this space. It's where I learned, connected, and truly enhanced my understanding of what's possible with AI. And the best part, they offer multiple membership levels to meet you where you are. Whether you want to DIY your AI learning or work with a personalized AI consultant for your business, the Collective has you covered. Learn more and sign up using my exclusive link in the show notes.